So, Digby, in the last segment, we were talking about the horrible, this is one of those classic life comes at you fast moments. A week and a half ago, people thought, oh, there's some reports coming out. People are going to project that the Congressional Budget Office is going to tell us that the Republican health insurance plan is going to get 14 million people off the rolls. That's incredible. It's almost hard to believe. And then the CBO came out with the actual numbers, and it was 24 million people and 14 million by 2018 within 2 years. And then in the midst of the Republicans trying to argue, you can't believe the CBO, they're wrong all the time, it's leaked that the Office of Budget Management, chaired by a guy who was a co-chair of the Freedom Caucus in the Trump administration, their numbers actually had 26 million people losing their health insurance by 2020. Then it was game over in many respects. Nobody could defend this, it seems like. And the idea that this could pass in the Senate seems far-fetched. It's seeming even harder now that it's going to pass in the House, although that seems to be the new goalpost. So here is the dilemma that we ended the last segment on. Donald Trump has been saying for a while that maybe we shouldn't pass anything. We should just let the Affordable Care Act implode. Paul Ryan came out introducing this, that it was an act of mercy because Obamacare was going to implode. We know that the problems Obamacare have been having could either be easily fixed by simple measures. I mean, aside from a wholesale fix of a single payer, which I think would be a much easier situation, involving things like risk corridors that have and forcing governors around the country to expand their Medicaid, because this is where a lot of the problems lie, in at least a system to provide insurance for everybody, never mind drawing down the question of premiums, which I don't think you can do, frankly. But so what do we do from the perspective of being progressives? What do the Democrats do with the prospect that the Republicans are just not going to do anything? They're going to pretend none of this ever happened. They're going to hope their voters don't hold them to the promises they had been making for so long. And then, you're going to have Tom Price just bit by bit make Medicaid that much more difficult to get in the states by allowing the states to do all sorts of, like torture mechanisms to get on it. That they're going to rewrite the regulations in such a way that insurance companies are going to be able to continue to jack up rates, that are going to be able to leave the exchanges. I mean, what should the response be here?
Well, I think it's very tough. And I think it's really, it follows on with virtually everything the Democrats have to do. I mean, they really have no serious institutional power in the U.S., in the federal government at the moment. I mean, it's just not there, other than, they do have something of a bully pulpit. They can come out and speak and people will listen, and there's there's tons of grassroots energy that they can draw on. But as a matter of institutional power, there's not a lot they can do. And the position that they're in is very interesting. As you watch how this healthcare thing has unfolded and continues to unfold, the real issues are it's within the Republican caucus, and that's been true for a long time. I mean, but it's really exacerbated now because you have a White House that's got its own agenda. I mean, Trump is about Trump. He doesn't care about the Republican Party. He doesn't care about anything but his own thing. No one should be surprised by that. He's an egomaniac. The Republicans are still as divided as they ever were. I mean, there has been this huge pushback against Paul Ryan. Ryan bashing is back in, and all, that they're going after him. He's the rhino, and Breitbart has gone after him. There's a lot of discussion, who does that mean, that there's some White House back channel, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't really matter whether that's true or not. What is true is that this argument is happening within the Republican Party. And now with health care, you have a gigantic bit of institutional pressure coming from the states. many of which are run by Republicans who have a completely different set of incentives because this is actually going to affect their constituents in a very direct way and their own budgets in a very direct way. So what I would suspect, I mean, and I'm no strategist, but to me, it just seems to me that there are a couple of ways to go about this. One is, of course, the courts, and I assume that there will be a tremendous push from left, legal scholars and various legal interests who will be pushing against whatever they can of this sabotage, and it is sabotage. The Trump people actually say that they want to sabotage Obamacare so it'll fall apart, and then they can blame the Democrats and take credit, and that's another subject. So that would be one way. Is that I'm sure there will be a lot of legal challenges to whatever this sabotage is. The other is the states. There are Democratic states as well that have Democratic governors. They will be doing their own form of, what do they say? The states are the petri dish of democracy or whatever. I mean, they're going to be coming up with their own ways of grappling with the way the Trump administration is sabotaging Obamacare, and hopefully in places where they have some economies of scale, like California, New York, and the big states, which are all basically run by Democrats, we're going to see some experimentation and maybe some kind of enlightenment as to how the states can grapple with this, and then hopefully, I think what can happen, and Trump himself doesn't seem to know this, but the Republicans themselves know it. If things fall apart, if they go ahead and let Obamacare implode because they can't pass a plan to get through the Congress and then be signed by Trump is fine with saying, hey, it's all the Democrats' fault. Republicans are not going to be fine with that. They've been promised that this would be fixed. They have been promised for years. And Trump very wisely thinks that he won't be blamed for that, but the Republicans know they will be. So we're looking at a 2018, if all this stuff happens and the Democrats are smart about the way that they talk about it and with the way that they deal with it in these various other aspects of government, I think that the Republicans will be left holding the bag on that, not the Democrats. Trump is making a bet that it'll be Democrats, and I think Republicans know very well it's going to be them. They're going to be the ones stuck.